Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Cancer energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row is going to be referred to as high vibe Cancer energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Cancer energy. We all have our dualistic nature. We have free will. We have to make decisions in our life. And some people are battling within themselves because they might want to move forward in life differently. But the bottom row can represent how we want to stay in our comfort zone because we can all have fear about change. And when we move forward in life differently, we heal, we grow, we mature, we change jobs or relationships or something like that. Maybe some people in our life, if we move forward in life differently, they won't move forward with us in that way. And that's not how they view life and, how they enjoy life. So we would maybe have to distance ourselves from some people in our life, not hang out with them as much anymore. And that can be difficult. So some people could be struggling within themselves, but there's always going to be some people in the world that decided, I have no interest in living my life differently at this point in time. I'm good. I'm going to stay where I'm at. And other people have moved on. So let's go look. High vibe energy is being motivated, and you've learned some lessons in life because the truth sets us free. We've healed, we've grown, or we've matured in some way. We look at life differently. How we view ourselves, how we view the world has changed. High vibe energy is about love, being motivated and inspired by love, not a more codependent relationship or trying to control or manipulate people. Okay, so in the top row, we have the Queen of Swords in reverse, the Queen of Swords in the upright. Things could have happened in our life where we felt betrayed and could have been defensive to moving forward. And high vibe people, the reason for the top row's reading is the Temperance card, which is about kind of balancing out your emotions. There's these things kind of in the world that we're fired up about, but emotionally we offset our fears and our insecurities and don't want to indulge our more immature nature. We don't want to indulge poor behavior in ourselves or in others. So the Temperance card is Sagittarius energy, which is about higher learning. I do want to wrap my brain around this game of life. I could have lived my life a certain way. That wasn't my truth. That wasn't my dream. I came to realize it. I needed to let go of living my life that way because the dream that I had for myself wasn't going to come into reality that way. And I'm no longer defensive. And I've worked through that. And the reason for the bottom row's reading is we go through a phase of life. And then in the King of Pentacles, we've learned these lessons in life. And we could have been in some job, friendships, or relationships where some other people could be more about the world, could be more about themselves, have things they like to indulge in to make themselves feel better instead of love. Their truth could be different than our truth. But during a process of life, we've just learned some lessons, maybe worked through some past pain and heartbreak. We're not the same person we were before. And we want to move forward in less feeling betrayed about the past or being in our ego or making our life about the world. It's about going on this adventure. It's about love. It's about realizing life is about going through these life experiences, coming in contact with all these different people in the world to help us get clear about what our truth is and what our truth isn't. And learning these lessons in life to really be who we say we are. And we can get in relationships with people. Everybody, the kings can represent, doesn't have to be masculine or feminine. It can be how people, though, present themselves in the world, because when we go present ourselves in the world, it's considered masculine energy because the feminine figures represent how we really think and feel. Some people are still just trying to balance out their emotions about the fact that they might present themselves as a very stable, grounded, emotionally mature, loving, nurturing person, but that might not really be who they are, because people can present themselves that way, but really they're maybe more immature might be defensive to love, but I still think you should go into business with me, hire me for a job, date me, marry me. And they're just hoping other people will balance out their emotions about the fact that they're not really who they say they are. And we can get into workplaces, friendships, and relationships. We think that there's someone who's learned these lessons in life, who's more stable and mature, and has worked through some of their issues of past pain and heartbreak and stuff to be someone we want to move forward with. And we can be patient with people for a long time. But eventually, if people aren't who they say they are, and they really don't have the foundation within themselves to really be who they say they are, and we have learned those lessons. And I view high vibe King of Pentacles as Capricorn energy, shadowy Capricorn energy is the devil, so it's our more worldly, shadowy nature. I have my fear, I have my insecurity, my pride, my ego, my lust, my greed, more about myself, petty, immature, jealous, envious, manipulative. Some people present themselves like, that's not who I am. No, I've learned some of the same lessons you've learned. I'm this type of person. You should get in a relationship with me or marry me. And then you get in a relationship and you realize they wear a very good false mask. But they really haven't learned those lessons. It's kind of like they might have some of these things of the world. They might have status or image or money or be attractive or be charming or in some ways have a good job, or something. But they really don't have, there's the foundation of authentically being someone who is ready to be in a more emotionally mature relationship because they've freed themselves from things that manipulate them. They really haven't done that. They just look like someone who's done that. And high vibe people really did learn those lessons. They really are who they say they are. And during the course of that life, they've learned these lessons in life. They are ready to be in a more emotionally mature, stable, grounded jobs, friendships, and relationships with people because that's the truth of who they are. And other people just want people to view them as being that type of person. So you'll stay in a relationship with them, or other people will get in a relationship with them. And you've seen the truth, and you've balanced out your emotions about it to get over feeling betrayed about the fact that some people aren't who they say they are. And we've learned some valuable life lessons. We have learned that some people can look very stable and grounded and emotionally mature, and they really have all these things that manipulate them still, and things that they haven't worked through. And we see the truth of it, and the truth sets us free. So, as you're moving forward, since shadowy people can be more about creating an illusion, trying to present themselves a certain way in the world so people view them a certain way, they might not know, since these cards aren't showing themselves, some of those people in your life who are like that might think you're just creating an illusion. That you're just balancing out your emotions about the fact that you're trying to present yourself a certain way, but that's not really the truth of who you are. And we can all kind of fake it till we make it, where high vibe people, what they don't realize, are doing this work within themselves to balance out their emotions about the fact that when they harness these energies in a more worldly, shadowy way, they get in relationships with people who are happy that they're harnessing those energies in a more worldly, shadowy way, because so are they, to some degree of their own. And you realized, the only person I can change is me. And if I want to be in more emotionally mature, creative, inspired, truthful, authentic relationships, I need to work through these issues within me that tempt me to keep being in a relationship or living my life a certain way that isn't aligned with my truth, I have come to realize, and doing that work to harness these energies in a more high vibrational way. And that you are willing to, when you detach from harnessing these energies in a more worldly, shadowy way, you're willing to detach from people who are still in that energy. And that's why some people won't move forward with you, because they know in order to move forward in that way with you, they have to do that same work within themselves, and they have to figure out why they live their life the way they live it, and maybe let certain people in their life who could be kind of worldly or shadowy manipulate them. And are they willing to detach from those people, whether they're friends or family members, or the world at large that manipulates them? And some people are like, no, I'm not going to work through that stuff. I don't want to. It does take, you have to free yourself from the devil and free yourself from things that manipulate you. You have to, the Pentacles talk about investing time, energy, and effort. And some people are like, I don't want to invest the time, energy, and effort to work through those things. In shadowy energy, we can just stay in denial of the truth, keep operating from our ego, keep operating from our fear, our insecurity, our lust, our greed. We'll just create an illusion we're a much more stable, grounded, emotionally mature person than we are. And that's what some people are doing, and some people think you're doing that. Some people might want to get in a relationship with you, and they think you're doing what they're doing. And what some people don't realize is you're not harnessing these energies in a shadowy way anymore. You're harnessing these in a more high vibrational way. So what are they? The Sun, the Lovers, and the King of Swords. So Leo, Gemini, and I view this as Libra energy. We all, for the first 30, 40 years of our life, we're all kind of caught up in the world. Just like Sagittarius energy, Leo energy is fire sign energy. We're kind of fired up about the world. There's all these things we want to go indulge in. We're sure they'll make us happy. We want to be in jobs, friendships, and relationships. And, we're really fired up about that. Leo is kind of fixed sign energy, a little hard to change our philosophy of life in our fixed sign energies. Sagittarius is one of the energies that help us transition out of ways of viewing life. When we learn lessons in life, we kind of got out of our Taurus energy, and kind of our Virgo worldly nature helped us transition out of a way of viewing life. We all have a way of viewing life, and we have these certain belief systems at any point in our life. At age 15, age 18, 21, 25, we had a way of viewing life, ways that we thought were just and fair, ways of viewing ourselves, ways of viewing the world, and the same. But we got out of living life like a 15-year-old to face our fears, temper our strong emotions, and face our fears about detaching from being like a 15-year-old to be more like an 18-year-old. And the same thing happened at age 21 and age 25, and I think it is meant to happen throughout our life, right? And so we keep going through these different phases of life, learning lessons, trying to get more clear about what our truth is. And it's hard to leave behind an old phase of life. It's hard to leave behind something that we invested in. We invested time, energy, and effort into something, a job, a friendship, or a relationship. And we'd like it to work out. We'd like the people that we invested in to love us and be just and fair. The King of Swords being Libra energies represented by the scales of justice. But we can get in relationships with people, and we could have been kind of caught up in the world. We were maybe living more from our mind than our heart. Our intuition when we got involved in some things could have been like, I don't think you should do this. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think this person's on the same page as us. It might have a lot of these things of the world that we want. But are they inspired by love? Are they willing to go on an adventure? Are they really who they say they are? Are they kind of more immature? Are they kind of more about ego and image or themself? Or, is our truth different? And some people could get in relationships and they try to help other people be inspired. Maybe they do live more from their mind than their heart, or their defensive nature. I view the King of Swords as can be like a person's self-protective nature within themselves, where they're kind of afraid of going on this adventure, because Sagittarius is about looking at life as an adventure and learning these lessons in life. And there can be a part of us that can put in a lot of work and effort with other people, like, oh, I'm going to make them look at life differently. I'm going to inspire them to stand up for themselves and love themselves and get more balance within themselves. I'm going to make them see the truth. Well, the whole thing is, at the bottom of the bottom row, we have the Five of Swords. Everybody has their truth. Everybody has their idea of what they think is just and fair. Anybody at any time has their mental conflict about change, or, you've got to get out of your ego to be willing to learn lessons in life. You have to be willing to deal with the truth. Where do I need to heal and grow and mature myself? What about people I'm hanging out with? Are they being just and fair? Are they being kind of bossy or controlling? And we have to see the truth about ourselves, and we have to see the truth about what manipulates us. And some people don't want to see the truth again about what manipulates them. Some people don't want to speak their truth. Some people don't want to be more authentically themselves in relationships and prefer to live more from their mind than their heart. And they might kind of be stable, grounded, kind of loving, nurturing people, kind of just and fair in it, but still have a lot of mental conflict of being more authentically themselves, where you let your more authentic, loving nature out to play in the world. And they could be like, nope, I need to protect myself. I'm willing to be in a relationship, but I still want to be in my defensive kind of energy. And it's kind of like feeling like you're in a relationship with someone who is wearing a false mask because they don't let their more authentic, loving nature out to play in the world. Or some people are kind of think because maybe they have certain things of the world, status, image, social clout, money, in a lot of ways that other people would view if they were to get in a relationship with them, like they would get justice. And they could feel like, I have these things of the world that make me look like I have justice in the world. And if you don't want to be in a relationship with me, I'm sure someone else will. And it's kind of, feeling like it's not really inspired by love, and also not inspired to change and detach. When we went from 18 to 21 to 25 and stuff like that, we had to detach from an old way of viewing life. We had to be willing to see that, like, that phase of life is over. Down here, we have the Judgment card. Before that, we have the Three of Wands. As I had a dream, and I thought my dreams were going to come into reality this way, living my life this way, viewing my life this way, hanging out with these people, having this job, whatever. But realizing it caused us a lot of mental conflict. There was something about it that conflicted with our truth. The 3, the 4, and the 2, the 3, and the 4 are Libra energy. The 5 is Aquarius energy. What is our dream? What do we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into? What is our truth? Are we willing to be more authentic and loving and just and fair in a relationship? Or do we just create the illusion of being that type of person, but we're really more about looking like a shining star in the world, maybe wanting to be in relationships because some people think being in a relationship says something about their worth and value, where other people think, if there's no one for me that seems to be the right person for me to be in a relationship with, I'm not going to get in a relationship with someone just to be in a relationship because I don't think it says something about my worth and value. I love myself, and I am willing and able to maintain balance within myself to stand in my truth. And I'm not just going to go indulge myself in a relationship because I have mental conflict and I want to be in a relationship. But some people do, and we've all kind of been there at some different points in time. But there kind of gets to a point where some people are like, I don't want to be in a relationship more because of ego and image, or it makes logical, practical sense, because I do have mental conflict, or because I just want these things of the world. So high vibe people are doing this work to be illuminated to the truth. I could have been more caught up in the world. I didn't listen to my intuition. I had mental conflict. I had hope and faith and belief my dreams would come into reality, but I got in relationships with people or jobs, whatever, and we kind of weren't on the same page. And though I could love them, for some they're high vibe people and they could love me, but maybe our truth is different, maybe you want to live in a big town, I want to live in a small town. Maybe kind of we can like each other, love each other, but what one person, how they want to live their life and what they want to invest their time and energy. You could meet people and there could be a lot of things you like about them, but all the things they kind of like to do in their life and how they like to spend their time and hang out and do things, it's like, what about these things? It's like, oh no, I don't really like doing those things. And it's like, but I don't really like doing those things. It seems like we're on opposite pages again, and though there could have been love there, some people, it's like, some people want to get married. The King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married through the deck. Some people don't. Some people want to play that role in your life, but they could have mental conflict about marriage, and those are things that people need to work out with. And if people are just willing to deal with the truth, and I don't want to stay in something that I feel isn't aligned with my truth and that might cause me a lot of mental conflict, or they seem to have a lot of mental conflict. Really shadowy Five of Swords can be people who seem to want to win at all costs. It's kind of more shadowy people. It's more their way or the highway. And it's like, well, that might be your idea of the dream relationship and what you thought was just and fair. That's not my idea of the dream relationship, and it's not what I think is just and fair. And so then we have to learn to love ourselves and be willing to stand up for our truth. This isn't my truth, or this isn't just and fair, or I do want to be in a more committed formal relationship. You don't. And some people, we can part ways with people, and there is some mental conflict about it, but both people could see that, that things were not on the same page anymore. My dream is different than your dream. What I want to go invest my time, energy, and effort into is different, So with some people, things can part amicably. We can have some people that it's like, oh, I would never go invest in some of the things that you want to go do. I'm happy living my life like this. But I encourage you to go live your life the way you want to go live it. We have friends and family members and stuff that, they don't view life like we do it at all, but they wish us the best. They want us to go live our authentic life, and they should be able to go live their authentic life. Everybody, if we love people, we let them live their life. We might think some people are kind of immature or egotistical or materialistic or bossy or controlling, and we probably just won't hang out with them that much, but we can still love them. We can have some conflict kind of sometimes when we're around each other because we do kind of view life differently. And I think people who are less manipulated by their fear, their insecurity, their lust, their greed, their pride, their ego, their pettiness, their envy, jealousy, I think those people have worked through things that have betrayed them and some other people might not have. And then I think those people, because our shadow nature is our more competitive nature and envy and stuff, some of those people could have a harder time with people. We can all meet people who are really like, wow, look at them, and they're more bold or brave or confident or seem to be less manipulated by things. We have the free will choice to be in mental conflict about it. Or we could look at it and say, why don't I do that? Why don't I free myself from some of the things that manipulate me? Why don't I do this work within myself? Why do I stay in my more self-protective nature and let my mind and my fear and all these things manipulate me? Or am I letting other people in my life manipulate me? Why don't I go live my more authentic life, right? And I think the high vibe people have done this work within themselves to get balance within themselves, give themselves the things that they wish other people would have given them, have looked at life from a higher perspective, because the Aquarius star card is also represented by the star card. They put things in perspective that everybody I've dealt with in my life is at these different stages of learning lessons. And some people have freed themselves from things that manipulate them to be very loving and authentic and just and fair and warm and giving and nurturing. And hopefully I've learned some of those lessons to be that type of person too. And I then want to be in a relationship with people who do harness these energies in a high vibe way. And if I've been in relationships with some people who harness these energies in a more worldly, shadowy way, that in their free will, because Gemini, the Lover's card, talks about our free will, that they decided their truth was to align with their more defensive nature, egoic nature, worldly nature, whatever. That we're not on the same page. And I could have inner conflict about it, because some of them could be my siblings or my parents or a good friend or people I work with. I can accept the truth that and see the truth about what kind of drives and motivates other people. And I don't, maybe with some of those people, you know, when I have to be around them, just like at work, we can be around bossy, controlling people. Out in the world, in community things or in our family, we can have people with different traits and characteristics that we can be temperate, which is about being patient with people. I can get along with a lot of different people because I don't have to try to force other people to change. And high vibe energy is where I just want to be able to maintain peace in the situation. Basically, when I don't have to be around them, I won't be around them. And some people I could definitely have already kind of cut out of my life. And I really, unless I have to be around them for some reason, I choose not to be. And I've gotten out of feeling betrayed. And I'm doing this work within myself to get ready to maybe have a new beginning. So emotionally, I could be doing this work, getting ready to take this action to move forward in my life more in my truth. Some other people could think that you're just creating an illusion. Some of them could think you're creating a better illusion than they are, but you're not creating an illusion. You are who you say you are, but they might not see the truth of who you are. So let's go look at the bottom row. We start out with the card not showing itself, which is the Chariot, which is Cancer energy about love. Some people reject love. I don't want to do love. I get hurt doing love. In my free will, I have decided to live more from my mind than my heart. I am going to make my life about looking like a victorious, successful type of person or attractive person or power or clout or whatever or stable, so that other people will want to get in a relationship with me. But I'm not going to do a more emotionally balanced, loving relationship. Because I could kind of be in my ego and I have this way of viewing life, and they could think people should kind of indulge them in this either defensive nature or more worldly view, and they want to be maybe in relationships with other people who kind of like indulging in the same things or making their life more about the world, maybe getting in a relationship more out of fear and insecurity or something. And I think learning to love yourself can take a long time, to learn to be like balanced within yourself, being a good, nurturing mother, father, coach voice in your own head. And I think for the first 40 years of our life, we could be in more codependent energy because we haven't healed in the Four of Swords, the difference between the one sword and the Five of Swords, because we felt betrayed before. Things didn't work out the way we wanted, even in our own families, we were dealing with people who maybe are kind of cold or detached or more about the world. And we just didn't really feel maybe that people worked together with us, maybe being as loving or encouraging or supportive or just or fair as we wish they would have been. And that was our dream. And we go on these journeys to learn these lessons in life, and we kind of were rejecting loving ourselves and maybe healing from past pain and heartbreak, thinking, oh no, I'm sure it'll all work out. My dreams will come into reality. And they didn't come into reality the way they thought. And we still had mental conflict that my dream still hasn't come into reality the way, I might be in friendships, jobs, and relationships with people, but I might still feel like it's not what I thought it would be. And that's when some people could realize that maybe I was in more codependent energy and I wasn't loving myself and I do have these issues I need to work through. And instead of being more about looking like I'm moving victoriously forward in the world, that maybe looking to other people to be the answer to me feeling more balanced within myself, when I'm looking for people to play that role in my life, there's people who will come in saying they'll play that role in my life. But I kind of give my power away because I'm looking to them to make me feel more balanced within myself, to love me, to be encouraging and supportive of me. And there's people who like to play that role in your life. And they can play that role, but some, just like you can play that role in people's lives. But in high vibe energy, we really do want people to work through those issues that manipulate them and free themselves. Other people want to play that role in our life and for us to keep not loving ourselves, not standing up for ourselves, not believing in ourselves, but they want us to look to them to be the answer and still stay in our mental conflict so they can keep playing that role in our life. But high vibe people do want to change. They don't want to keep carrying their baggage. And they could have gotten in relationships when they weren't looking at life from a higher perspective, when they hadn't learned to love themselves, when they did need to heal, but they were motivated to heal. That's the difference. In our Capricorn, Sagittarius, Cancer energy, are we driven and motivated to put in work and effort from a place of love to heal and grow and mature ourselves? Or are we not? And we can get in some mismatched relationships. Some people in our life have been moving forward with us, and we go through transition. We go through life situations. We kind of get stuck in them a little bit. We kind of don't like change, but then everybody's willing to kind of learn some lessons in life, face their fears, work through some past pain and heartbreak to go on, keep going on that adventure in life and with us. But there's some people that it can get to a point, they could have went through several kind of transitions in life with us, but then it can get down to maybe a core truth of our idea of what we thought the dream life would be. Everybody can heal and grow and mature in some ways and learn lessons together in relationships, but the final straw might come. And for some people, until the ultimate truth of what drives and motivates you. So we can have been in friendships, workplaces, relationships with people. Everybody was willing to do some of this, and everybody could have kind of been loving and encouraging and supportive of people until it got to be maybe where we really had to change our whole way of viewing life, being more caught up in the world or looking at life from a higher perspective, looking at life as this adventure to learn these lessons, and that if we kind of look at it that way, it's not about making our life more about conforming to the world and having a certain status and image. There is so much more to life, and it's about freeing ourselves from all these things that manipulate us to shine our authentic light in the world and to be loving and stand up for our truth and live our more authentic life. And that can be where some people have a problem, where before they were willing to go through lots of transitions with you. You know, if you were friends for years or decades, or in relationships with people for years or decades, there can be a point though where it really does change how they view life. And some people, it's like, sorry, I don't believe there's any higher truth or justice to aspire to. I think it is more about the world. You seem to be more about that there is more to life than that, and that there's other things to work with than just these things of the world. But the things of the world are tangible. The things of higher vibrational energy is your creativity, your imagination, your intuition, believing that those are things that you can equally work with. And some people, no. I have a problem about investing in thinking there's more to this world than what the world tells me there is. I have to be practical. I have to be logical. I think you're living in la la land. But the whole thing is, we were given our creativity and our imagination and our intuitive realm. And we listen to our intuition, even if that requires. High Vibe Aquarius is willing to step outside of societal norms to bring needed change to the world. And some people are like, and High Vibe Energy is being a leader. And some people are like, nope, that's not me. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep doing life the way I've been doing it. I have mental conflict about maybe speaking my truth, being more authentic in the world, not making my life more about ego and image. That's how I define my worth and value. How else would I define my worth and value? Well, that you do maybe have stability. You know, we still put in work and effort to have stability and security and enjoy some of the finer things in life. It's just not ego, and those things aren't the most important. You define your worth and value. And you go live your authentic life, being free, treating other people the way you like to be treated, treating people with love and encouragement and respect. I'm just not so much about caught up in my ego about how I want people to view me a certain way. I'm going to go live my authentic life. But some people are very much in their ego and very much think it's very important how other people view them. And that's kind of being caught up in the illusion of the world. Other people, you know, it's like thinking you can manipulate people to view you a certain way. You have no idea how other people view you. And some people think the most important thing is for people to view me this way. Okay, well, what does that mean? Victorious and successful, status, image, like you're a nurturing, loving person. You get in a relationship to make you look like you're a nurturing, loving person, even though that's maybe not who you are. You might have money or status or power or be attractive or whatever, but you're not emotionally balanced and loving. You've decided maybe it's more about you, and you get in relationships and it's more about you, your ego, your image, your status. People are supposed to indulge you in your ego, in your immaturity, in your wanting to win at all costs. Some people are just living more from their mind than their heart. They have they want this certain image or status in the world, and some of those people don't care who they hurt. The most important thing is for them to keep up with certain people in the world, and the most important thing in shadowy Capricorn energy that anyone can harness is it's more about leaving a legacy of like wealth or power or money, you know? And it's all about them and ego and being practical and logical. This is what the world says is valuable and important. And I have completely bought into it. And that's what I'm going to make my life about. Other people could be like, oh, well, no, I have mental conflict about being married. I think other people in the world will view me as someone who's like living the dream because I'm not pursuing that dream and I'm not moving forward with people in an emotionally balanced, loving relationship. I'm kind of more about myself. I'm sure people will be like jealous of me because I'm like out here presenting myself, getting in relationships with people, but I never really bring the dream into reality. You know, it's really kind of weird how some people can think. Anyway, high vibe people have dealt with different people in their life that have different ways of viewing the world, want to be in a relationship, but they want to be in relationships for the wrong reason. Don't want to be in relationships, but the reason they don't want to be in relationships, it's just kind of this mental nonsense in a way. It's like, you have the right to live your life the way you want. I'm just going to call judgment on you. I've seen the truth. I don't want to keep investing in you. I'm going to get over feeling betrayed. I had a dream I wanted to come into reality. I thought you would meditate on the truth of what is loving, what is just, what is emotionally mature, but maybe you are just more about yourself. Okay, I am willing to deal with the truth that some people love their self-protective, self-defensive nature or being all about themselves or indulging in these things or making their life about these things. I accept it. And that's what some people don't know, because if you're in relationships with people and you're not being truthful and honest and just and fair, you can be trying to manipulate people to get them to do what you want. And that's what some people are doing right now. Some people are trying to cause people a lot of mental conflict by not illuminating the truth, by not getting in relationships with people, getting out of relationships with people. They think you won't love and believe in yourself, and that people will decide either to keep being patient, give up on their own dreams, not willing to speak their truth, stand up for themselves, go have a new beginning, and that they'll just, because we can all be in relationships with people where we are being patient and we hope that things will get better. Some people are in the midst of those type relationships and they're hoping the other person's going to keep being in their mental conflict, that they're going to keep being patient, keep indulging them in their poor behavior, that they won't choose to love themselves and get balance within themselves, to love themselves, get balance within themselves, to balance out their strong emotions. I can have love for you and not want to be in a relationship with you. And for some people, that's where they're at right now. They're still in more codependent energy, more caught up in the world, being manipulated by certain things, don't want to reveal their truth, don't want to speak their truth, even though what they're in could be causing them a lot of mental conflict. And high vibe people are going on this adventure, listening to their intuition, they have changed. They call judgment on themselves and others. The only person I can change is me. If I see some people who still need to heal, still focusing on other things that they want to heal, aren't ready to invest in being in a relationship with me in a more authentic, just, and fair way, then I see the truth of it. The only person I can change is me. I am going to get out of feeling betrayed. I'm going to do this work within myself. I want to be in this type of relationship. I'm moving forward in life, listening to my intuition about who's who. And when I meet the people who are more on the same page as me, then those are the people I will get. If I'm looking for a new job, because the King of Pentacles can represent those types of things too, if I'm looking for a new job, when I find the people I want to have a new job with, as I move forward, finding people who I want to be friends with, finding people I want to be in a relationship with. But the shadowy people are hiding that they've probably been in relationships with some loving people in their life, but those people aren't in their life anymore. Because these people still have some healing to do. They still have some truths they need to wrap their brain around. And because they had mental conflict about learning those truths or seeing those truths, some people called judgment on them. And for some of them, it's still causing them some mental conflict. But until they're willing to be more authentic, be more just and fair, grow up and mature themselves, if they want to keep wearing a false mask, this patterns, or being immature but trying to present themselves as more mature, present themselves as more just and fair when they're not really more just and fair, until they work through these things, that same type of pattern is going to keep working out. And just like you, other people are going to leave those jobs, friendships, and relationships. And if people, the more worldly, shadowy people, if they think they find someone who does harness their Cancer, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Libra, Aries, Aquarius energy kind of in the same way they do, let's get in a relationship. Maybe more because of our fear or insecurity. This makes logical, practical sense. We don't want to wait. We don't want to be patient to wait for someone who really seems to maybe be on the same page as us. We might have mental conflict about taking this job or getting in this relationship or this marriage. But if I'm looking to get out of my mental conflict and I think this is the answer, well, then I will get into it. So there could be some people that are getting in a relationship, a more involved relationship, maybe a marriage, because they think that's going to be the answer, because more codependent energy is looking to these things outside of you to be the answer to your problems. Drugs, booze, money, power, status, relationships. Other people were illuminated to the truth that the answer to their problems and their mental conflict was to love themselves and get balance within themselves. But the more worldly, shadowy people reject loving themselves and getting balance within themselves. And they're like, no, that's not my truth. That's not the truth. I don't have to do that. I can control things. I think I can get judgment to go in my favor. And they move forward with their idea that is more worldly focused than creative and inspired and loving focused. And then they kind of wonder why it didn't work out the way they wanted. And high vibe people used to live their life to a degree like that too, because we all were caught up more in ourself. The Three of Wands is Aries energy, which is about the self. And we thought we were the boss and we could do these things and these things would work out the way we want. And it was kind of like, no, didn't work out the way you thought. It's like, damn, why didn't that work out the way I thought? And it's like, because you're not looking at life from a bigger picture. You haven't learned to love yourself and be more balanced within yourself, require more justice and fairness. You indulge poor behavior in yourself and in others. You might be a very loving, nurturing person, but if you're a loving, nurturing person and you're always trying to change other people and you get in like romantic relationships, like, oh, I'm sure one day they'll change. It's like, no. If they wanted to be that type of person, they would be that type of person. It's one thing to offer people peace and love and joy and see if they get out of their ways of viewing life. If they, to think that we can change people, we could be living in fantasy land, We offer people truth and love. We're authentic, we're just, we're fair. And when those people, that isn't their truth and how they want to move forward, we need to call judgment on them, or it will keep causing us mental conflict. The only person we can change is ourselves, and we need to get out of our ego and see the truth that our dream can't come into reality with people who haven't learned some of these same lessons about being authentic and just and fair and inspired by love. And they maybe never will, because in their free will, they made the choice not to. Doesn't have anything to do with us. It's kind of more just how they view the world. Maybe it's their self-protective nature. Maybe it's their more full of themselves nature. Maybe it's their more materialistic nature. But we realize everyone has free will, and we balance out our emotions about the fact that everyone does, and not everybody is motivated and inspired to be just and fair, or to be loving or motivated by love. And we need to move forward standing up for ourselves, maintaining balance, being authentic, being loving, and listening to our intuition. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Cancer energy that they might not see coming up? Okay, we had a card flip. We have the Queen of Swords. Why? Because the Queen of Swords and the Tower. So the way I would interpret this is, because you felt betrayed. The Queen of Swords is, the Queens can talk about how we think and feel. The King of Swords can then be how we take action on those things. We could have moved forward with some things in our life. We had a dream. And we were willing to deal with the truth that our dream can't come into reality with someone who's not operating from a foundation of love. Because that's how you build a solid foundation. And because we were willing to see the truth of it, and we were willing to call judgment on ourselves and other people, we were able to detach, and we will be able to detach from that old foundation. Because we have a dream, and we're not willing to let go of our dream. Other people in the world have dealt with bossy, controlling, prideful, egotistical, manipulative, blah, blah, blah types of people, right? Some of those people then had mental conflict about believing in themselves. And they let someone else who had some lessons to learn cause them a lot of mental conflict about loving and believing in themselves and believing in their dreams. And they maybe haven't healed from it yet. And other people dealt with people like that, and they weren't willing to give up their dreams. They let go and detach from the people in their life who weren't very just and fair and loving and encouraging and supportive, instead of giving up their dreams. But the other people could have mental conflict, even if, say, the world keeps rejecting someone in a way. Well, partly the world and things and people in our life could be rejecting us because we haven't learned to love ourselves and stand up for what we believe in. This is kind of making me think Libra energy can be like our people-pleasing aspect, where we want to go out there and have everybody view us a certain way, and like our public politician persona. We need to get out of that. Why are we trying to get everybody to like us or view us a certain way? And some people could really put a lot of work and effort into that because they want people to view them a certain way. It's like, how about you just be authentically yourself? And the people whose company you go enjoy their company. Well, no, I don't know if people would view me a certain way, and I need to know more people. I need more people to view me a certain way. I don't know. It's like chasing after people in a way, and presenting yourself a certain way when it's not even your truth. And other people can tell it's kind of not living your truth. And then other people have mental conflict about investing in you because you're not being more authentic. And some of the people who just don't get it think like, but I wear this and I act like this and I talk like this and I don't do this and I do this and I don't talk to those people and I talk to these people. Why are you not embracing me in your community? And it's like, well, because the other people maybe really are who they say they are, high vibe, worldly vibe, or low vibe, you know? And you're just kind of more like playing a role. That's like living more from your mind than your heart. Here we have living from the mind, instead of learning these lessons and really kind of investing in your truth. So I think high vibe people are being patient, letting go of people who are more defensive to looking at life from a higher perspective, of being more authentically themselves, because Aquarius energy is very unique energy. And I think as you high vibe people move forward in that energy, there's going to be other people who see that you've detached from your more worldly view of life and being more motivated by those things, that you are believing in yourself and believing in your dreams, and you're inspiring and patient and balanced and truthful and authentic and loving. And those people are going to want to detach from, they've been kind of waiting to detach from being patient because they have found someone who's on the same page as them. And they are going to move forward with you in that way. And then there's going to be other people who, what you don't see coming, the people who harness their Aquarius energy in a different way, like, you should have wanted to indulge me in my poor behavior and stayed in a relationship with me. Some of those people are going to try to tear you down and destabilize you because they're in their ego, that you weren't willing, when they have all these things that they think they have of the world and look like a shining star in the world, that you weren't willing to stay in a relationship with them for those things. It's like, but it's not the things. We all want stability and security. I want authentic, loving, just, fair relationships. And they're like, well, this looked just and fair. And it looks stable and grounded. That should have been enough, because that's what I offer. It's like, that's not enough. If it's not inspired by love and truth and justice and fairness, it's just this superficial, shallow thing. And those people won't like it, and they'll try to tear you down because they have mental conflict that you don't view them like they view themselves, and they could think they're God's gift. Some of them might try to get in relationships with other people, hoping that will cause you pause. They might want to basically win at all costs, to look like they're the more stable, grounded, emotionally mature person, but they know the truth. That you were authentic. You were nurturing, just, fair, loving, and encouraging. You didn't want to just stay in a relationship with them just because of the ego and image. You were offering them love to heal, but they rejected it because they have mental conflict with love. But they don't want people to know that. So they want to be viewed as a loving, just, fair person. They'll try to tear you down to make it seem like you're not that type of person. And then they will go try to create this illusion with someone else. And if they can't make you drive your life off into the ditch, that will really bother them, because that could have been the plan. If you don't do things the way I want, I have an idea. I'm going to do all these hurtful, unkind things that normally would drive anybody's life off into the ditch, just like it has driven their life off into the ditch before. But you saw the truth of it, and you healed, and you believed in your dreams. You did this shadow work. I have a dream. I see this truth that this person does not have the same dream I have. And though it causes me mental conflict and pain and heartbreak, people have to be held accountable for their actions, and this person is not who I thought they were. And they keep showing me over and over and over that they are not motivated and inspired by love. They seem to kind of be in their ego, and it's their way or the highway. And I'm not going to let someone who's unjust, unfair, unkind, blah, 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 keep me feeling betrayed and cause me to drive my life off into the ditch. I'm going to do this work within myself to keep believing in my dreams. I'm just going to let go of them. And some of these people are shocked because they have things that manipulate them, and they know what things would kind of devastate them if certain people acted a certain way towards them or rejected them. And you just keep persevering, and none of their tactics work. And then as you keep moving forward in high vibe, patient, inspired, loving energy, and they keep taking action more out of pride or ego or lust or greed or immaturity, other people seem to have a problem with maybe what these people tried to say about you. Well, I thought you said they were this type of person. I thought you said they were that type of person. They seem to be doing this. You seem to be doing this. I'm beginning to wonder that you're not who you say you are. And so it's kind of a way for people to steal from you. If you're a just and fair and loving person and people do these things to be hurtful and unkind, they want you to maybe be a loving, just and balanced person, but indulge them in their poor behavior, and you're unwilling to do it, then they might try to cause people a lot of mental conflict about believing that you are who you say you are, that they are the stable, grounded person, mature person. Then they do these hurtful, unkind things, trying to tear you down, hoping it'll drive your life off into the ditch. And then by default, they look like the more emotionally mature, stable, grounded person. And they get to come up here like they harness your energy. I'm going to throw people under the bus. I'm going to kick them to the curb. I'm going to be hurtful and unkind. I hope it causes them to be sad, and they do all these things that aren't beneficial as a coping mechanism. And I, in turn, can then act like I'm the more emotionally mature, stable, grounded person. And now I think eventually the truth is revealed, is what the tower reveals the truth of who harnessed high vibe Aquarius energy and who harnessed shadowy, more Aquarius energy. Who was more caught up in being defensive to love and more about themself and egotistical, and who was someone who has hope and faith and belief in their dreams from love. And the truth is revealed, and they could really have a lot of mental conflict about people seeing the truth of who they are, because they like to wear a false mask and they like to hide the truth. So when high vibe people were moving forward in a relationship, what you didn't know about each other for some of the mismatched relationships is that they didn't realize that you harness these energies in a more high vibe way, hopeful and believing in love and truth and justice and fairness, because they were hiding that in their Leo, Gemini, Libra energy, they operate more from their ego and more from their mind. And they thought if they got in a relationship with you, you'd have mental conflict, calling judgment on them, that you'd keep being patient and trying to work the relationship out. And they're like, that's good. You keep doing that. As long as you keep being patient, keep thinking I'll change, then this all works for me. It's good for my ego and my image. And I have a loving, nurturing, just, fair, warm, inspiring person in my life. And when you finally decide to call judgment on me because you see the truth that I am not healing, I am not offering the truth to past pain and heartbreak with the 1 plus the 4 to make the 5. I am not changing. And you had hope and faith and belief I would work through those things to free myself from things that manipulate me. But I'm not going to do that. And eventually you saw the truth of it and you called judgment on me and you left. And then they were mad. Because their idea of the dream relationship, I get to be bossy, controlling, immature, blah, 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 blah. and I get someone to keep staying in a relationship with me and indulging me in that behavior. And you're like, I'm done indulging people in that behavior. I did this work within myself to figure out why I do it. And it might be because I have mental conflict about believing I can manifest my own dreams into reality. And that I needed to love myself enough to get out of more imbalanced relationships to realize I deserve to be in just and fair and balanced relationship, because love is supposed to be just and fair. It's not supposed to be where you give, and the other person takes. And you finally saw the truth of that in your own foundation. And it's like, I'm not willing to settle for a mismatched relationship. It has to be just and fair or I'm leaving. And other people see the truth. That's why you left. What's coming up for the more worldly, shadowy people that they might not see coming? The world. Why? Because of the Six of Wands. So the world talks about a cycle ending. Some people are did have cycles end on them. Some people are now having cycles end on them. Some people will keep having cycles end on them. Why? Because of how they harness their Leo energy and their Cancer energy. They use their emotional nature and their fiery nature, which can be their charm, their charisma, their sexuality. They use them in a manipulative way, trying to present themselves as more high vibe than they really are, more stable and grounded and emotionally mature than they really are. And eventually, other people are inspired to move forward, to close out an old phase of life, to call judgment on the things that manipulate us, our mental conflict, blah, 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 past pain and heartbreak. And they're ready to move forward, to bring a dream into reality, to free themselves from things from the past. And these other people are like, well, no, I don't want to deal with those things. I just think I can keep moving forward in my ego and I don't have to deal with those things. I can stay in denial of the truth. And other people end a relationship with them because they're more inspired to keep operating from their ego, their defensive nature, their competitive nature, their prideful, manipulative nature. And the other people are inspired by love. And until they are willing to see the truth of it, that if you want to move forward with people who have hope and faith and belief in their dreams, who are inspired by justice and fairness and love and having hope and faith and belief in love, you need to be that type of person. And they're like, I have mental conflict about that being my truth. I get hurt doing love. I'd have to balance out my strong emotions about my things from my past that make me view life the way I view life. But right now, some people are moving on, other people are moving on, and shadowy energy can be that people are going to repeat an old pattern. Nope, not going to get in the driver's seat of my life. I'm not going to take the reins of my dualistic nature and offer love and compassion and forgiveness to the past, or my fear, or my insecurity, or my prideful, egotistical, immature, self-indulgent nature. No, I have an idea. I think I can keep doing things the way I've done them. I am sure judgment will go in my favor. I'm going to go take action to keep doing things the way I've been doing it. I'm going to go indulge in those things or in those relationships or whatever it is that I think makes me look like a shining star in the world, or that will make me look that way. And they might find people eventually who are on the same page as them, who also don't want to get out of their more worldly egoic nature, who also have some pain and heartbreak and mental conflict that they don't want to deal with, that they just ignore and keep moving forward in their pride and ego. I don't have to deal with that. And then I think they could be in a relationship that causes them some mental conflict because nobody's inspired to be more authentic and loving and just and fair. Everybody's operating from a defensive energy or in it because of the status or the ego or the image. Well, is that really your idea of the dream relationship? To be in a relationship with someone, for some people it could be. So long as it makes me look victorious and successful, I don't care why they're in it. Are you willing to stay in a relationship with me? I think that makes it look like I'm victorious and successful. What do you bring to the table? What do I bring to the table? Okay, that's good. We look victorious and successful. By worldly standards, we look victorious and successful. It's just that they might have other people in their life who don't really want to hang around them because they can see it's more superficial and shallow, and they don't want to be around people who aren't being more authentic and truthful. I don't want to indulge in your illusion with you. You do you, enjoy your life, but you might need to find some other people to hang out with because we want to be in relationships with people who have hope and faith and belief in their dreams, not so much about creating an illusion in the world. So there you go, Cancer energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.